back in civilization is in a partnership. And you guys are the feet on the street. You are the teachers who are going to be bringing this into the classrooms, but there's a whole lot more to it than, of course, in classroom teaching. No Child Left Behind. Anybody heard of that? We all love that, don't we? The fact is, you guys are being asked to accomplish things with these students that has never before been accomplished. And you know what? It's not good enough only if you do it this year. You have to improve every single year after that. How cool is that? It's a great goal. I think it's wonderful. But there's a little tiny clause in there that talks about how children will be optimally prepared for the classroom environment. How many of your students are optimally prepared for your classroom environment, in your opinion? Do you think that 50%, 60%? Am I going the wrong way? 20%? 30% maybe? The fact is, and the Act even talks about how it's parents' duty and responsibility to make sure that these kids are optimally prepared. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say whose fault is it, because we could have that debate. We can take the next 5 hours of this training and we can talk about whose fault it is that kids are not learning the right social skills. But the argument is, if you took only that component, the teaching component, took 30% out of your average school day, school year, multiplied that information by the number of days in essence that you're losing, that ends up becoming a really big number. Now, you know, I can tell you what number this was used, which was $45.01 was the overall district number for our school district up in Washington State that I used as an example. Pretty typical. And then we broke it down from there. I won't bore you with all the math. But get impressed on this is a really big number. And even if you're not talking numbers, you lose a third of the time, you're talking 60 days out of a 180 days school calendar. What could you get accomplished with an extra 45 or 60 or 90 days in a school year? Just imagine. Do you think you'd be able to bring up your test scores? And not all of these are necessarily hard costs. Think about the soft costs. How do you account for teacher morale? I'm sure that there's no single teacher or administrator in this class, in this room right now, that has not at one point said, why do I put up with these kids and their parents and the behavior? It's not the teaching the kids that kills me. It's the behavior issues. And that's what's going to make me leave. What we're really talking about when we talk about etiquette is we're talking about a very, very strict set of rules. Let me give you an example. A rule is when you're meeting the Queen of England for the first time, you get, here's another word that's interchangeable, protocol. You get taught the protocol for what happens when you meet the Queen, right? Now, what do you do when you meet the Queen? Well, you are supposed to either bow if you're a gentleman, or you're supposed to curtsy. When you get ready to address the Queen, it's not just good enough that she says, well, you know, how do you do, Anne-Marie? It's very nice to meet you. You have to be invited to speak back. Very strict rules, protocol. Okay? You don't just walk up to her and say, hey, Liz, how you doing? It's not appropriate, right? And everybody, if you did that, oh my God, everybody would be shocked and you'd probably be escorted out the door, right? There is no personal flexibility in etiquette, right? Same thing, you dine at the White House. Same thing, you're dining at the White House. You will be basically coached on the rules for conduct for what you do in the White House. If you go to a table manners class, a fine dining class, you will be told exactly where the knife and the fork are supposed to go. Exactly when you're supposed to use this and such. Exactly what that little bowl that looks like a little soup bowl right in front of you has a lemon floating in it, what it is used for. Okay? It's not because you have an allergy and you want to have a little hot lemon water. That's not the point. So the idea here, when I did, it was interesting, when I did the Today Show in December, they opened the segment up, before my interview, they opened the segment up with a formal dining class for kids at the Plaza Hotel, which I thought was very interesting because then they're showing how these kids are learning how to, you know, sit straight with their napkins in their lap and the whole bit. And they were really cute, they were really adorable. If you ever want to go look at it, it's on our website. But my point was when we came back from it is that, you know, it's really great that these kids are learning these skills. But there's a lot more to being a good person, behaving properly, having good social skills, and just knowing whether or not you're going to dine at the Plaza. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I certainly don't have any plans to go dine at the Plaza in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And most of the students that we have in our classrooms these days are never going to get to the Plaza. But they need a lot more than that. Let me use that example about meeting the Queen. So you've got the meeting the Queen thing going on, but here we're in a different situation. We're still meeting people, we're still greeting people. If you're in a group, what do you do before you want to talk to somebody? What is the situational norm in our society for what you do when you want to talk to somebody? Anybody know? Okay, but what if we're in a group like that? You just did it, actually. You raised your hand. Wouldn't you say that that is a situational, a behavioral expected norm? We expect that we're in a group, we're going to raise our hand and be called on, right? But if we're just in a group, let's say we're in a group of 4 or 5 people. Let's say I'm just having a chat over here with this table, offline from this class. What would we do? Is anybody going to raise their hand, do you think? Who thinks we're going to raise our hand before we talk? No. We wait our turn, right? Okay? It's the same thing. You're trying to get somebody's attention, but you're now getting somebody's attention in a smaller way. So what you're doing is you're actually waiting until the other person is done speaking, and then you interject your comment. Correct? They're 2 parts of the same whole, but they're situationally different, but they are still expected norms of behavior, and that's what manners is. So to think before, you know, I say here the example of raising your hand or hello Smith residents, if somebody just picked up the phone and said, what? That's not really the expected norm of behavior. The expected norm of behavior is, hello. Of course, we get the what quite a bit too. If you don't have respect, you can know your protocol till you're blue in the face. You could have this meeting the queen thing down. You could be the absolute perfect person when it comes to behaving when you need to. But if you don't have your motivations in line with everything else, the minute you walk away from the queen, or the minute you walk out of a room, or the minute you do something else, you can immediately be dissing that person, and I can guarantee you, you can be absolutely a proper person, and you can also be a proper jerk. And me first, he who dies with the most toys wins. What does that do? That puts us in a completely self-centered place to be, right? It's me. What's in it for me? What do I get out of this? Why should I? Convince me. That doesn't work very well in a society. What do you have in a society that is completely and totally me-centric? Does anybody know? Does anybody here teach history? So you should probably have the answer to that question. What do you get in a society that is entirely self-centered and me-centric? What do you call that? You got it. It's called anarchy. You cannot have a society. Congratulations. Didn't think there'd be a quiz, did you? The fact of the matter is that you cannot have a society, a community, where everybody is thinking only of themselves. Will not work. Do you think our societies and communities are working really good right now? No, I don't think so. In the classroom, people say social skills shouldn't have to be taught in the classroom. And I will be the first one to agree with you. It shouldn't have to be. But the fact of the matter is every person that's sitting in this room is being impacted on a daily basis because it's not being taught anywhere else in the home where it should be. And it's gotten to the point now where when you're between the rock and the hard place, it is not necessarily being acquired in the home. The children's education is depending on it. They're not only good, you know, we don't want to just turn out good students, we want to turn out good kids, right? So the idea is that you're getting impacted by it every single day. We almost don't have a choice. And to accomplish the things that we need to accomplish that are now being federally mandated, what are we going to do? We're certainly not going to get more money. How many of you like the argument about smaller classroom sizes? That's the ticket. If we only had smaller classroom sizes. The fact of the matter is, if kids knew how to behave, if they knew what their job was and they took it seriously and they attended to it, you could teach twice the size that you have now. And smaller classrooms would not be an issue. And teacher burnout. Acquiring and maintaining qualified staff. That's another good one out of No Child Left Behind. That's another federal mandate. How do you do that? It's like going into a war zone every day. You know, first of all, the teachers are not paid what they should be. Political statement, my opinion. But then you're being asked to do these incredible things with a lack of resource. It's sort of like being told, okay, we're losing the basketball game. You need to go out and win it for the team. And oh, by the way, before you go out there, we're tying one hand behind your back. Now go play. Have a good time. And you need to win this game or you're fired.